Hello, everyone. What's going on? This is your fellow paisano Rino Zaurini. Welcome to my channel, Soccer Forever Present Calcio, with the special guest right here, my fellow friend Andrew. How's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Not too bad. Are you ready for some soccer talk action?
Definitely. It's been a while, so let's dive in.
He's a big Liverpool fan. We're going to talk about a little bit what's going on with the Premier League, Serie A, then, of course, the recent games of the Champions League. So
Yeah,
you want to start with the Champions League, then we move on?
yeah. I think we start with Champions League. It was an interesting week.
Yeah,
Um, I know. Just sticking with Premier League, I know it's a rough week for the Premier League for sure. Um,
yeah. Tottenham and Chelsea. Tottenham
both
with
was
Milan.
yeah, yeah. The Tottenham Milan game was it was pretty even from the eye perspective.
Yes, well, I was impressed with Milan because in the Campionato they haven't been playing that well, but they show a different, you know, Milan, and they played pretty good. I was surprised with Tottenham, like they beat Man City 2 weeks ago. Then they weren't that great.
This is Tottenham though. This is kind of what happens there. There's that saying and it's been going around the Premier League for years, which is it's just Spursy.
Mm.
It doesn't matter how good they're playing. They have the opportunity to, really just drop the ball. And you watch it, those games when Son and Kane aren't firing and they're not linking up in the way that we get to see in highlight reels, but it doesn't happen every game. When they're not linking up the same way they usually do, Tottenham struggles.
Mm. Struggled even with Conte. They struggled.
Even with Conte, they struggle. That team relies so much on Harry Kane and
Harry
Heung-min Son.
Kane.
It's Heung-min
I
Son and
see.
Harry Kane. It's that combination when they're on the field together. When they're on the field by themselves, they tend to do okay, but together it seems to be either hit or miss a lot lately.
Yeah.
And they've been doing well in the Premier League, like to a certain extent. They're 2 points out of the Champions League, so it's not too bad for them at this point. But yeah, it seems to always happen in the Champions League where they kind of start to drop off against teams really they shouldn't be dropping off against. But that's not to take anything away from Milan. Like Milan played a
Yeah.
really good game, and when you've got that kind of history and you have that kind of history in the Champions League, it definitely plays a part. It always has.
Oh, yeah. You hear me properly?
I can hear you. Are you?
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, you know more about Milan and you know more about there. So I'd like to hear your take on it because, I don't watch too much Serie A. We talked about this before. It's very rare I get to
Okay.
catch a game. But
Yeah, one second. You hear me, bro?
yep.
This thing. Because I can hear myself finally. Hmm. What the heck? But you hear me properly?
I hear you perfectly fine. Yeah.
Yeah, because I hear myself double. I don't know why.
Go
This
into
things.
There's a way to do it. If you go into more, hit audio and turn the echo recover off
Oh, okay.
into
Settings,
settings.
audio. Take off the echo.
Yeah, try that. It might get rid of it.
Hold on. You hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Better?
Yep. Sounds good on my end.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, I gotta double check.
Technical difficulties.
Uh, this this, this live stream is too much. So
Yeah.
I
So
was saying about Milan. Milan, it's up and down at the Serie A. Like they're sixth place. They lost like four games. So
Yeah.
And I really thought that Tottenham were going to beat them. But then when I saw the game, they pretty much managed. It was a different Milan. Like, I was shocked.
Yeah, they're playing at home. You play any European night, you play at home, your fans are going to be up for it. And this game is and always will be about the fans. We'll get into more of that a little bit later on when we talk more about the Premier League and what's been happening there. But the game is about
Yeah,
the fans, and when the fans are behind you and they're driving you forward, especially with a club that's got that much history, it's very easy to have them push you forward.
yeah.
I was more surprised by the Chelsea loss. The Chelsea loss.
Well, yeah. They spent all this money, and they lost with Dortmund. I saw the game, the second half. The guy that scored, like Enzo Fernandez, couldn't stop him. Like they spent all this money on this guy. Chelsea, they're very disappointing me.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to watch. And again, we'll get into what's been going on in the Premier League, or maybe we can include it in part of this because it's easy to kind of go there now that we're talking about the money.
Yeah,
Um, the Premier League's out there spending money like it's going out of style,
it's too much.
and
I hope things will change.
yeah. I think everybody hopes will change because there are a lot of clubs that can't compete with that, and these owners are coming in and whether or not these rules are being followed or anything along those lines, we're going to find out. we're going to find out in the next 4 years or however long this thing with Man City takes, but that's
I
a step
know.
in the right direction. But
But
I
what do you
think
think what's
Chelsea.
going to happen with Man City? Like, are they going to get relegated? We had the same problems too, but not as bad as Man City, like Juventus.
Yeah, yeah, like it's very easy to have this conversation with someone who follows the Serie A because obviously you've seen it firsthand. You know what happens when you're caught cheating. You know,
Well, caught cheating. I can say that on our
so,
end, there was more involved with the phones. They were talking about the financial
yeah,
gain and stuff. But it's not just us, it's a lot of teams.
yeah. Whenever, yeah, oh, no, exactly. I wasn't saying Juventus in general. I mean, just in the Serie A, they've had their issues with it. Which I actually really applaud the Serie A for cracking down on it. You know what I mean? The Serie A, the governing body over there, they do a really good job of kind of keeping that in check. It's one of the only leagues you hear about teams being punished for breaking rules, whether it's cheating or whatever way you want to look at it. They punish the
Well,
clubs for
they
breaking rules.
try. That the problem with us because they're always against us, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's the problem. Because the real reason what happened with us, because one of the guys that in the court said that he hates Juventus, how he's anti-Juventino, like a person that works in the court saying these things. That's not good. So maybe
No,
we
for
might get
sure.
back to 15 points.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe. I
yeah,
think I think this what's going on with Man City is completely unprecedented. There's never been anything like this. You're talking about 100 allegations of breaching rules.
yeah,
Um, what that punishment turns out to be. I think it's going to depend on which allegations are able to actually be proven. I think it's going to boil down to, can they prove 15 of these allegations? Can they prove one of them? Can they prove all of them? I think if they
yeah.
prove all of them, I think no matter what, the Premier League needs to and the FA need to step in and they really need to crack down because, as you just said, the amount of money Chelsea just spent in January is pure insanity.
It's too much.
It's
Way
it's
too much.
insanity. And I get it. Everybody talks about inflated prices on players now, right? So you go back to
Yeah,
the days of Real Madrid and Barcelona and even AC Milan with the Galacticos, and buying the best players. Wherever the money goes, the players follow, right? So when the Serie A was on top, people went to the Serie A. You know what I mean? And that's where they wanted to play because they wanted to win. When La Liga and when Barcelona and Real Madrid were on top, they
yeah.
had all the money and everybody went there.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, right now for the rest of Europe, the Premier League has a massive, massive, massive following, and it's the highest
they
watched
do.
league in the world. So I think though, if Man City is found guilty of these allegations, they need to come down hard, because then you look at the likes of Chelsea, and not saying that Chelsea's done anything wrong, but how you can spend 300 million in a window. Like, are they
Yeah, in
just
the
not going to spend?
January transfer market.
Yeah, are they just not going to spend anything in the summer? Like, did they put all their eggs in one basket in the winter here and just go, okay, we'll do it in January and not spend a dime? I don't think so, but
Well, the question is this: are they going to do something with Chelsea?
I I think they're going to focus on Man City. And then I can definitely see them taking a look at Chelsea, because I know there's a lot of fans, and not even just fans, but other clubs from other leagues that are calling for this to be looked at.
Well, yeah, it was 600 million from last year till now. Just Chelsea, like it's too much.
Yeah, I think there's a difference there though. When it comes to Chelsea and Man City, there is a difference, because obviously the way financial fair play works is so that you can't put yourself too far into debt,
Yeah,
right? So Man City is being accused of overinflating their sponsorship deals and paying players out of subsidiaries that it doesn't show up as coming from the club, but the players are getting money from that way. And there's all kinds of different allegations. I've only read probably 20 of them.
wow.
But with Man City came out of nowhere, what, 10 years ago? Prior to that, they were, bouncing around the bottom of the Premier League table. They'd been relegated not too far prior to that. They're not, and this isn't anything against Man City fans right now, they're not a big club. In the terms
No,
of big clubs around the world, they're not a big club. They don't have the fan base. I don't go traveling and see Man City supporters clubs. I've never seen one.
no.
But I've seen Juventus supporters clubs. There's Liverpool. There's Manchester United. There's AC Milan. There's a lot of
Inter
these.
Milan,
Yeah,
Napoli.
there's a lot of these supporters clubs. Bayern Munich, and it goes on and on and on.
Yeah,
You don't
Real
see that with
Madrid,
Man City.
Barcelona.
Yeah, they have a massive following. I don't see it with Man City. I think Chelsea's finally in that. I've been in one of the bigger clubs, maybe not quite like the traditional big, but I think Chelsea is a bigger club in comparison.
Yeah,
So, they can spend more money technically than Man City, just because of the size and their revenue and their draw and their sponsorship. So it's gonna be really interesting to see, because if the Premier League don't crack down on Man City, you have the likes of Newcastle, who are now easily the richest club on the planet.
yeah, I heard.
So you're inviting other people to do the same. And whether Todd Bowley, the owner of Chelsea, whether he's looked at it and said, this is where our budget is, this is where we can go, or whether he's just come in and said, I want to be the new Roman Abramovich and spend a ton of money. Because really, this all
Exactly.
started with Chelsea.
Wow.
So, but I want to hear a little bit, like, that's my take on that. And everybody's going to have their opinions. And if it's proven that Man City didn't do any wrong, then I don't want to hear about it anymore, to be honest with you. I don't, I know a lot of fans in the Premier League are calling for investigations, but even as a Liverpool fan, who's easily their biggest rival,
I
you're not going
bet.
to say it's Manchester United. I don't want to hear it anymore after this. This is the final straw. If they get away with this, I
Well,
don't
it's
want to
not
hear it.
just affecting you guys; it's affecting everybody.
Yep.
Like,
Yep. No, yeah. Like, what happens if they all of a sudden give Man City point deductions for every year from these allegations? What does that do for the Champions League now? What effect does it have there? Because if they get a 15-point deduction, they wouldn't have made the Champions League the next season, which means whoever they played in the Champions League wouldn't have gotten knocked out,
yeah,
right? So there's so much that trickles down. It's such a fine line that these governing bodies have to flirt with.
yeah. I don't know. It's too much. It's
It's
destroying
taking away
soccer. You know.
It is. It's taking away from the love of the game. It
Yeah,
really is.
same with PSG. It's the same thing.
And that's exactly it. PSG is another team, and the one thing that always kind of makes me smile without again trying to hurt any feelings of any other any other supporters here. But it makes me smile knowing that Man City and PSG, with all the money they've spent and
They can't manage to
countlessly
win the
for
champions.
they can't win. They can't win big years. They can't do it.
Yeah.
I don't see, and just back to the Champions League because we hit there. I don't see Man City winning it this year. I don't see
No,
them
I
doing
don't.
it.
I don't think so either. I'm guessing maybe Real Madrid or Bayern Munich. Maybe we'll see.
I've got my money on it. Like obviously, as a Liverpool fan, and because we're still in it, I still don't think you can count out Liverpool ever. And we'll talk
No,
more
we're
about
gonna
what's
go.
going on
There's
with
a
them.
big test next week
Yeah,
with Liverpool and Real Madrid. So
yeah.
that's gonna be another revenge.
I don't think you can count a team like Liverpool out because you have to play at Anfield on a European night, and it doesn't matter who you are or how good you are. Like beating Barcelona 4-0 after being down 3-0 without their two best players on the field from that season. You know what I mean? Like the anything is possible. But other than Liverpool, I actually have my money on Napoli this year.
Oh, Napoli. Napoli, they're doing a wonderful job. There's
They're
there's
they're an
rivalry
incredible team
between
to
us,
watch.
but to be honest, they're doing a wonderful job.
Yeah, they were awesome to watch. And when they played Liverpool in the group
Yeah,
stage, they
in
they
the
made us
summer,
look
4-1.
average
I
at best.
I wasn't expecting that. Like,
Neither was I. But and then look what they're doing now in the Serie A. And again, they're a rival, and for you, but I wouldn't if it's not going to be Liverpool. I don't want to see Madrid win another Champions
I
League.
know,
I think it'd
but
be great for the Serie A.
yeah, well, we'll see what happens with Napoli. But the problem with Real Madrid, um, they never die. So,
Yeah, but they don't have Benzema doing Benzema things anymore.
oh, Benzema's not around.
Well, he's there, but he's not playing to his standards that he set last year. He basically dragged Real Madrid along last year.
Oh yeah, last year was beautiful. Like how they played last year, it was great
So
because
he
against Chelsea, PSG, they dominated those games.
and Liverpool, even the final games, Liverpool was all over them, and they just out of
Yeah,
nowhere, and it was
well,
it was
Liverpool they dominated, but the thing is, Real Madrid with that goalie that they had, they managed to save all those goals, and then one goal, boom.
yep. It's
Then we got they got Angelotti.
yeah, yeah. Honestly, man, you can Real Madrid is Real Madrid, and this goes back to talking about that history. This goes back to history, and when your club is steeped in history in the Champions League, you tend to pull things out of a hat.
Yeah,
Teams pull rabbits. Some of these teams pull elephants, and you know all kinds of dinosaurs out of there. They're just big, big things that you would never expect to see in a million years, and they just happen to pull it off. And it's every year it's something like that. That's why the Champions League is so good. That's why it's so
yeah,
much fun to watch. That's why everybody cares about it, is because on any given day, anybody can beat anybody.
exactly.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I think it's gonna be a really exciting Champions League this year. PSG is already lost.
Yeah, they might
Dortmund's
get
up
knocked
on
out.
Chelsea. They might. They might. Right. I hope. I'm not gonna say I hope they do, but yeah, I do. I hope they do.
Well,
Uh,
I hope so too. I can't stand PSG.
yeah. I think the problem PSG runs into is Liga is not
Yeah,
that
'cause
good. It's not that competitive.
no, that's what they want to do. The Super League.
Yeah. No, that's a conversation for another time. That's a conversation for another show. That Super League is something
You
else.
don't agree?
I I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. The reason I'm not sure is because if we're talking about what we were talking about earlier about the love of the game and
Yeah.
soccer being for the fans, this Super League is going to have Juventus playing Liverpool in Japan. Like this is the kind of stuff you're going to run into. And at the end of the day, we're friends. I know we're fans. I know you're from Italy and you grew up there. My mom's from Liverpool. I grew up in Canada. The only way I would ever be a Liverpool fan is because of my mom and because of
Yeah,
her going to games. And you're going to take that away from the fans of these teams.
I know, but they need to do some changes because UEFA, they're not doing a good job.
No, UEFA's corrupt as all anything anyway.
Well, you see today with Juventus, with that penalty kick, that's Schifrin because he hates us.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna say it was a weak foul call, but there was a foul in the build up. It was there.
Yeah,
Do
but they
you,
didn't call it.
no, but that's why they denied the penalty was because they called the foul on Bremer prior. You're talking about the
I
handball
don't know.
penalty? Is
What's
that's
that?
the one you're talking about, right? The handball that should have been a penalty towards the end
Yeah,
of the game.
close to the end.
So they called a foul prior to that on, is it Bremer?
Yeah,
How
Bremer.
do you Bremer? They called a foul on Bremer prior. It was a foul. It was a foul. It's not a strong foul, but it was a foul. So
I don't know because
it's a tough one.
Schifrin.
It's a tough
I don't
one.
know
If
if
it
you're.
happened, to Liverpool, it would have drove me nuts.
Well, yeah. What you think about Schifrin? Like even a lot of
Uh,
English fans don't like him.
you know what? I think officiating in general, and then when you start talking about the governing bodies and all of that, I think there's corruption everywhere. There's too much money involved for there not to be.
I know, but they need to do some changes with the Super League. I think it'll be good.
Do you not think it would still be there though? Do you not think there would still be some kind of corruption or some kind, like, now we're talking crazy money. We're talking crazy money for the Super League.
Yeah,
So now all of a sudden we're talking about how money causes corruption. Now you're bringing in money that none of these teams have ever seen before. You don't think there's going to be corruption there again, or fixing, or it's so
I
tough.
don't know about that because if they're doing this, they want to change something for the better.
They
Even for
always change
us
for the
Italian
better.
teams to compete more at the Champions League because now Napoli's doing great. We'll see how far they go. But recently, eh, it's just you guys. Before it was us, and now,
Well, this has been football though. It's always been this way. There's eras of leagues that do really well, and then you get the odd Rangers or, I don't know, Portos or whatever that come into it. But it's always been eras. There's the AC Milans and the Juventus and the Inters and all of that of the past. Then it was Barcelona and Real Madrid, and
yeah,
that happened forever. Barcelona, Real Madrid, and like, well, Real Madrid won it how many times? Nobody was calling for a Super League when Real Madrid won it 5 years in a row.
yeah,
Nobody was
14
saying
times the Champions League.
nobody was saying it wasn't competitive and it was because they couldn't keep up when it was Real Madrid or Barcelona doing really well there, or Bayern Munich doing. Nobody's. But now all of a sudden the Premier Leagues are there, and for the first time, really the money is flowing into the Premier League. Whereas
Yeah, but it's a
prior to
little bit too
this,
much.
but prior to this, the Premier League couldn't hang on to their star players. As soon as they got somebody who was world class, Real Madrid came calling. David Beckham, Cristiano Ronaldo, Xavi Alonso going, Bayern Munich, Barcelona taking Javier Mascherano, Gareth Bale getting plucked out of Tottenham and brought out. This is just the way this game's always been, and it's just unfortunately this is the Premier League's turn, and it'll die off again. It will. It always does. It'll rotate, and it'll be Germany will probably be flying again, or Italy will be back up on top, and the money
I
will
hope
transfer
so.
over there. But I personally don't think that a Super League is really the right way to go. I think you're taking too much power and giving it to these teams and the owners of these teams.
Yeah.
Right? You got owners like the Glaziers for Manchester United, who the fans absolutely despise, and they're not going anywhere. And now all of a sudden, you're going to flood their pockets with more money.
I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. Because this Champions League recently, it's been kind of tough.
Wow, I don't know. Liverpool's played in what, three of the last four finals, five finals, and the
Yeah,
two they lost were to Real Madrid. They didn't lose to, or yeah, they didn't lose to a Premier League team. They lost
yeah,
to Real Madrid.
yeah. Last year.
Yeah, and the year before they won it too. They've lost to Real Madrid twice in the Champions League final.
Well, once was at the semifinal,
Or
right?
semifinal. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
2 years
and
ago, I
then
remember the year that Chelsea won the championship with Tuchel. Liverpool
lost to
lost with
Madrid.
Real Madrid. Then it was a revenge last year, but they lost again. Now it's next week, you
But no,
guys.
they also lost to Madrid in 2018 or 19. The year before they won it again for the first time. It was Madrid they lost to in the final when Ramos dislocated Salah's shoulder.
Mm. I hear some noises.
Yeah, I'm getting one too. Hold on.
Mm. Is it from
Oop.
you? Hold on.
Yeah, something's trickling through here.
That sucks. Maybe try to get off to come back. Yeah, really bad. Yeah, try to get off, bro. What's up, get off? Hmm. 1 second, bro. I'm back.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
There we go. It's gone now.
Okay.
Yeah, just a
I don't
little
know.
bit of apologies, obviously, to everyone there.
Yeah, sorry. This thing sometimes drives me nuts. There's still lots to learn, my friend.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, it's good, man, and I think it's always fun when you get to talk and you get to talk about your club and the sports you love, which makes life enjoyable, right? Share your passion with everybody else. So on that note, I want to hear what you think is going on with Juve. You know
With Juve?
what's going on with the old lady recently? What's
You
the
mean
problems
with the
there?
relegation or in general?
Just in
Both.
general. Just in general.
Okay, I'm gonna start. Well, uh, the sport wise, how they're playing, because they've been winning for the last 9 years the Scudetto,
Yep.
and the cycle has been down. And how can I say, the organization, they haven't been doing right choices. They've been bringing back leftovers like Allegri. We kicked him out 2017. Then you bring him back last year, 2 years ago, and things haven't been normal because last year we still maintained the top four, like barely. Like even the fact we had Sarri, which it wasn't too bad with Sarri, then because he didn't make it through the quarterfinals, the Champions League when we lost with Lyon, and then they got Pirlo, which Pirlo did not do bad. Like he won two trophies in at least. Coppa
Yep.
Italia, Supercoppa. It's true with Ronaldo, then Chiesa was in shape. But then we got back Allegri, and it's his style of playing because he's good friends with our ex-president Agnelli.
Yeah.
Agnelli, the last 3 years, I wasn't happy either because Agnelli, he all did mistakes with Paratici. You know Paratici,
Yeah.
the guy from Tottenham.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they did a lot of these things, the plus valence and all this kind of stuff, which they did by phone. That's why they got caught. But then it wasn't only that the reason. It's true. Everybody hates Juventus. The whole world is against Juventus. Even the FGC doesn't like Juventus. Ceferin, because Agnelli went against Ceferin for the Super League.
Yeah.
It's been lots. But they took
Yeah, but
off 15 points. What's that?
yeah, I was gonna say though, like every because Liverpool fans have the same kind of take that everybody's like against them, right? Every like in the Premier League, they always say Liverpool don't get the calls. Mohamed Salah doesn't get calls. You've basically got to kill the guy for him to get for a foul to get called on him, and this is a lot of talk from Liverpool fans as well. But at the end of the day, it it boils down to the 11 players or 14 or whatever it is now, 16 players that get to go on the field for 90 minutes or 90 plus minutes.
Yeah, it's all about
So
the field.
is it the fact that are they not modernizing? Are they not moving with the times? Maybe by finding a more progressive coach, not relying so much on the management of people that have been in the game for very long and are so set in their ways that they don't want to adapt.
That's the thing, too. They always want to do the same old things. Now we got a new president, a new GM, let's say. Let's see what's going to happen in New York because I want a new refresh. And the fact they brought back Pogba, what's the point bringing back Pogba and the guy's still on the bench, Like mistakes
No.
like this.
Yeah, it's hard to watch. Like, I'm as I said, I don't really watch too much Serie A, but growing up, Juventus was Juventus. Everybody knew who Juventus was,
Yeah, they
right?
were the most dominated. It's unfortunate we get so unlucky on Champions League because we've been with Allegri two finals with Real Madrid, Barcelona. They went through, but even before that, like I only watched since 1996 when Vialli was around. That's why I
Oh, okay.
started liking Juventus, De Piero. That was a team. But since then, we get so unlucky, you know?
Yeah. But it's not like you guys haven't invested either. Like when everybody wanted Matthias Delit, like you guys went out and got him. Um, and you went and you pulled Pogba from Manchester United originally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you've done the right things there. It's tough to watch. It's a tough to watch from a distance too.
Yeah. Well, we did a mistake, which was fun to watch Cristiano Ronaldo, but I think that was a big mistake too.
Now,
Because
not
you
as big
can
as Manchester United buying him back.
I know now he's out, but now
Yeah,
Man United they're playing well without him. I seen they're playing good.
yeah, they are. They're playing better. Um,
Yeah,
and I think Eric Ten Hag is a great manager.
yeah, I
You
can
know,
tell. Well, I heard from a lot of people too, right?
yeah,
So
I like him. I like the way he manages. I like the fact he seems very much like a people person, and I think that's from my understanding what I've seen of Juventus is the managers they bring in are very much set in their ways. They're not that new age manager that is more of a people person, and I think they're so stuck with dealing with players from an era where you could treat them a certain way and it wouldn't bother them
yeah,
because it was
it's an old school
expected.
mentality they have,
Yeah.
which now Agnelli's out. The cousin is the actual owner, John Elkann. I hope he does some changes because doing the same things over there. Like now, rumors are saying they want to get Conte. What is the point bringing back Conte? Like
I,
it
I
doesn't
I
make.
love Antonio Conte. I love Conte, and I think if you've got Conte in your team, you have a chance of winning every single game you play.
I
The
know,
guy
but
is a
when it comes to
tactician
Champions
master.
League, he's not that great.
No, like who would you want then? What manager? If you could have any manager right now, and you could go out and pluck him out of anywhere, like Pep Guardiola, all of them included, who would you go and handpick and drop into that Juventus team and think that it would make a difference?
Well, I would love to see Klopp. It's a dream, but but
Yeah, I
I don't
I
know if he's
don't
going to come as Serie A.
I agree with you. I think Klopp is that guy. That's what he
Yeah,
does, and Juventus would be the project for someone like Klopp. If
I don't know if he
Liverpool,
will ever come to Juventus Klopp, but I like Tuchel too. He's
yeah.
still out, but the problem with Juventus, they barely get uh, you know coaches outside, just Italian coaches.
Well, it's I think that's part of the Serie A though too. Like even getting players, like you look at somewhere like the Premier League and everybody talking about the English tax that they call it, right? English
Yeah.
players in the Premier League, when you sell them to another team, they're more expensive because they're English. But you look at the starting 11s of these teams, and they're not littered with English players. In
Yeah, they're all
Italy,
they're different.
in Serie A, these teams and I love that about the Serie A because, and that's why I think Italy does, except for obviously this World Cup, but I think that's why Italy's done so good in these major tournaments is because they do try to keep Italian players in the league and playing in at that level and developing that way.
Well, sorry to bust here. Chelsea, you seen at the Europe against England. We beat
Mhm.
you guys. We were 37 in a row winning.
No, I
So
agree. I agree, and I
that's
think
a good thing that we bring all these Italian players. Now we're bringing more young Italian players, so hopefully we get into the World Cup because last
yeah,
time we didn't have Chiesa, Spinazzola. Then he was relying on Insigne, Immobile. Those guys are done. They need to get rid of
yeah,
these players. Now we got Fagioli, Di Marco from Inter. He's pretty good.
yep,
So we'll see. Chiesa's back. Like today, Chiesa almost scored. I don't know how the hell happened. It came out of
yeah.
the line.
I
That
the
guy's a
one off
monster, man.
the post crossbar post, or was it
Yeah,
crossbar
that
post
was
post?
unbelievable.
I've never seen that happen.
That kid, thanks to him, we went through the Euro Cup.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I think one of the things you're going to start to see is I think you're going to start to see teams like the Chelsea's. Hey, go lie down. Sorry, the dog.
no problem.
I think you're going to start to see like the Chelseas, the Man Cities, Liverpool possibly. They're going to be doing a big refresh apparently this summer. But people
Yeah,
like Chiesa and Kvaratskhelia. I don't even know how to say that kid's name properly, but he is stunning to watch with Napoli.
Oh yeah, his name. Yeah, the
Kravets.
Georgian guy, Kavaske. Let's say Kava. It's hard for me to say
Yeah,
Kava.
yeah. Like you're gonna start seeing teams coming after these players because they're gonna start trying to use that. Hey, we get farther than you. But if Napoli is able to do well in the Champions League this year, get to a semifinal, even a final, Roma too. Roma's got it, or is it not Roma? It's Inter. Inter's got an outside chance.
I don't know. We'll see. We gotta see next week with Inter. I can't. There's big rivalry with Inter, but
Yeah, well,
but we
there's
have to
it's
see.
Serie A. There's big rivalry with everybody, but
Yeah,
Inter's
well,
playing.
you've and Inter, they don't get along. I am when talk about them, I am sportive. But then if they start offending my team, then I go at them. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. But I'm just saying, Inter's playing Porto,
Yeah.
so they should win that.
But the problem
Milan,
with Porto, all these Italian teams, Juventus starts with Porto, Milan, Lazio. Maybe Inter might be lucky because the Italian teams they find it hard with the Portuguese teams. I notice.
well, yeah, and I think Porto has been like I obviously playing Liverpool. They've had a so they must be really happy to see somebody other than Liverpool,
Yeah.
because it's been I think the average aggregate has been like 7-0 between the two legs against Porto over the last
Wow.
seasons. Um, but Napoli's got Frankfurt.
Yeah,
Milan
we'll see.
Milan's got the toughest draw of them all in Tottenham. But I don't think in the past 3, 4 the Champions League seasons, I don't think 3 Italian teams have made it out of the round of 16. And you
No,
have three,
the last 4 years, if I'm not mistaken, even with Juventus, they didn't make it through.
yeah. So
Because
they have the
2017,
opportunity.
Juventus went to the final. They lost with Real Madrid, and since then, it got worse and worse. And we are at the Europa League now. We'll see
Yeah,
if we can win the next game, but I doubt it because with this corruption, then Cheferin, then the way we play, because we got to if we have to beat Nantes, we got to beat at least 3-0. We cannot stay with 1-0. You know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Get through and go from there, right? It's
Yeah, but look at Milan. They were struggling for a while too. Now it's the first time going through after a long time, and we'll see if they can manage to beat Tottenham. What do you think? They could beat them in Tottenham.
I think anybody can beat Tottenham on any given day, and I think Tottenham
So
can beat
how come
anybody
they
on any
beat
given day.
Man City that time? It was a fluke.
No, this is what I mean. I think it goes both ways with Tottenham. I think Tottenham can beat any team, and when they're at their best, they can beat any team. But
They
they
have good
also have the
players.
ability to get beaten by any team.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Their consistency isn't quite there. So I think going into Spurs Stadium up 1-0, there's no longer an away goal rule in
Yeah.
the Champions League. I think it
Yeah.
plays into Milan's hands. I think it heavily plays into Milan's hands.
Yeah. They might go extra time. Who knows? They may be penalty shots. That's the good thing
Maybe,
of the second link.
maybe, or they just beat them. Like
Well,
I could
Milan, like I said, they haven't been playing well the Campionato in Serie A, but
yeah,
they showed different Milan. So we'll see because the coach he's Papagallo, like the guy. I don't like him that much. He does big mistakes too.
yeah,
So we'll see what happens. But as long as he has his players healthy, maybe Mannion might be back, the goalie from
yep.
Milan, because he's been missed. That has been a big miss. Then Inter, we'll see. Because, like I said, for me, not to be a bad sportsman because I hate Inter, for me, it's a 50-50 because Porto, we always had problems with Porto, the Italian teams.
I would honestly say, other than the fact that Inter's actually, and again, this is going to sound horrible, but other than the fact that Inter's actually won the Serie A title, I would say Inter's very much like a Spurs of Italy.
Yes, well, they won with Conte after so
Yeah,
long, Inter.
yeah. but
Yeah.
it was a long time for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
since the
Spurs have
triple.
never won a title. So
Okay.
Spurs have never won a title. They've never won a Premier League title. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
you're they're a very similar team, and I think in the history, even though Inter's got more of a history, it kind of falls into the same category,
Yeah, I
right?
know.
So
Because, for example, Inter beat Napoli, and then they lose with Empoli. You know what I mean?
you know,
Monday they tied with Sampdoria, like, and they
well,
have the players.
Tottenham beat Man City, and then they come out the following week and lose to Southampton. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah, it's the
this
same
this is
thing.
this is what I mean. It's a very similar thing. So I don't know. I think if the Italian teams can come through this round of 16
It'll get
unscathed,
better.
all three of them, I think it would be better for them, and I think it's going to be better for the Serie A in general if they can come through
No,
there. And
no,
I think,
Serie A. Uh, don't get me wrong. I can complain about it, but recently it has been competitive because the last 4 years we've seen four different teams that win. Well, Juventus, Inter, last year Milan, and this year for sure Napoli. It's all about Napoli losing the Scudetto. So
yeah, but
if
I'm
there's,
I'm meaning more from a financial standpoint. I'm meaning more from like that side of the game where
yeah,
you win the Champions League or you're in the Champions League final or a semifinal, younger generations start to pay more notice.
oh yeah,
You know what I mean? So that's where I think it'd be really good for Serie A to have three teams that,
exactly.
that come through, and if one of them can make it to the semifinals, there's a little bit more brought in, or a
Well, like
final, or
last
even win it.
year, yeah, well, like last year, Villarreal, I was surprised they made it through the semifinal. Then they lost with Liverpool, and they
Yeah,
did the good. They beat Juventus, they beat the Bayern. You know, it was impressive to see a team like that. Because at the end, it's not about the money. Like you guys spend all this money, and like look at Chelsea, and then they lose with the Borussia Dortmund.
you cannot buy the Champions League.
No,
PSG and Man City have learned that you cannot buy the Champions League. So yeah, and it's
well,
it's it's strange that we're sitting talking the first time talking football in a long time, you and I, and both
I
of
know
our
because we've been
teams.
talking, we've been chatting each other. Then you said you want to join my group, which slowly it's growing. So
Yeah, we
I can always bring you back next week because Liverpool and Real Madrid. Then we can talk about the Inter game and the Napoli game next
yeah,
week.
I think
So
I think that'd be great. I was going to the fact that Liverpool and Juventus are in the exact same position in the league right now for
I'm
both.
surprised because when I talked to you on the messenger, I was really surprised about Liverpool because I do love Klopp. Uh, like I'm not really how can I say sympathize with Liverpool, because we have history too back in the day
Oh
when
yeah,
the Liverpool fans killed the
yep.
Juventini. But I can't say that they were a good team. I like the players, even that Holland guy. What's that guy's name? The defender, the guy with the ponytail,
Virgil Van Dyke.
Van Dijk. Yeah, I like that
Yeah,
guy, man.
yeah. I'm not gonna say I'm surprised we're in ninth, but I'm not surprised that we're not having a good season.
Mm.
I think I'm surprised at how bad it is. Um, but I'm not surprised we're having a bad season. So Liverpool last year played every single game they could play.
Yeah.
I think it was something like 64 games in a season. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The Premier League title went down to the last day. They were in the final of the. Did we win? I think we won the Carabao Cup, in the final of the FA Cup, and in the final of the Champions League.
Too
There
much.
was there was no other game left for us to play.
Wow.
So that's and then to lose the Champions League final
Yeah,
again
that's.
to
I
Real
think that's
Madrid.
what went down with you guys since that loss of the Champions League. It went down.
Well, I think yeah, there's that. Normally we respond really well though. Normally we respond really well. So we lost the Champions League final to Madrid when Ramos dislocated Salah's shoulder. and
Yeah.
then we won it the next year. The year we won it, we lost the Premier League to Man City by 1 point, and then we won it the next year. So we respond really well. I think what happened, or what has happened, is that our management team, they're very much in the business model of, like, our owners are very much in the business model of self-sustaining. We're not
Okay.
going to put any of our own money into the club, but if the club earns the money, we'll spend it. Right? We'll spend it on the
That's
club.
good.
Like, I don't think they draw it out. I think it's a great business model. Like, from a
Okay.
business perspective, it's a great business model. From a football perspective and from a fan's perspective, it sucks.
Yeah.
Spend some money. I think they needed to refresh the midfield this year. That was
Yeah. Same
that's
with
where
us.
the
We
money
have the
was
same
needed.
problem. We have to clean up everything. It's too much.
Because there was talk
Hopefully,
about us going after Chiesa. There was talk
Keza,
about us.
he's staying with us. He's not leaving. No.
Famous
Keza, I don't think
famous
he will
last
leave.
words. No, I
That's it.
don't think Liverpool. I said famous last words. I don't think Liverpool will go after him now. We got Gakpo, we've got Nunez.
Yeah, but I know a lot of people think that Keza's gonna leave, but he won't, because he's gonna stay. He might be the future captain of Juventus.
You don't think he'd leave for Champions League football somewhere else?
Uh I don't think so.
You
We'll
don't.
see.
You don't think if Man City showed up and offered him like 300,000 a year?
Well, Chelsea offered him 100 million. He said no.
Well,
Two
no,
years
he
ago.
didn't say no to 100 million. Juventus said no to 100 million. There's a
Yeah, but I
difference.
don't think he will. He's too Italian. He's like De Piero. He won't
Yeah,
leave. That's his
but
team. He left Fiorentina to go Juventus because that's his team.
yeah, like for
Rumors are saying
Liverpool,
about Vlahovic. Maybe him.
yeah,
We'll see. We all got to see where Juventus is going to be at. Hopefully, they give us the 15 points, or if we're lucky to win the Europa League. But I find it hard after what I saw today. Then
yeah,
we got to see how far they go.
yeah. I think we're in the same boat. I think Liverpool is, like, word is that they're giving Klopp money in the summer to spend on Liverpool. It's supposed to be a substantial amount. There's been no real release as to how much. But I don't think Liverpool is going to be able to compete unless they spend probably between 200 and 300 million in the summer.
Wow, that's a
Because
lot of money.
you've got to think, Thiago is in his 30s. Thiago
Yeah,
Alcantara.
yeah,
Jordan Henderson is in his 30s. James Milner is pushing 40. Fabinho is late 20s, 28, 29 kind of range. That's our midfield. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain can't play anymore. Naby Keita, unfortunately, he had all the potential in the world. It didn't work out, so he's gone. So you're looking at our team, and you're going, okay, what is our midfield?
yeah.
It's Stefan Bajcetic, who's this young kid who's playing phenomenally. I don't know where we got him from, or his academy. I haven't even done enough research to know, but he's a young kid. He's been playing really well. He's been our best player last month. The month of
Wow,
January, he was our best player. We sucked, and he was our best player.
that is some good
So
news.
yeah, so there's a young kid, Harvey Elliott. He's shown some potential, But the other thing that happened for Liverpool is we got hit with some crazy injuries again.
Same with us. I think we got these young kids like Fagioli's doing a good job. So
Yeah,
like Pogba, we don't know when he's coming. For me, I don't think he's coming. They're saying in March. It's all
it'll be
bullshit.
March, and then he'll sprain his pinky or something, and then he'll be
Yeah,
out for another
it's too
six
much,
months.
man. I'm
Yeah.
really sick and tired of this guy.
The Man United fans were saying the same thing. He'd play a game, he wouldn't play well, he'd get hurt, and then they wouldn't see him again for 3 months or whatever it is. So, but I think for us, I think we need to get. I think for Liverpool, the solution for them would be Jude Bellingham and Declan
Okay.
Rice from West Ham.
Wow. Well, I don't know too much of the players of
Yeah,
the
so
Premier
Jude
League, but
Bellingham was Dortmund, Borussia Dortmund.
okay.
He's English. He's from Birmingham. He was England's. Everybody was talking about him playing for England during the World Cup. One to watch. He's like the hottest prospect for a midfielder right now in world football. Everybody wants him.
Okay.
We've been linked with him for a while. He's phenomenal to watch. He's a phenomenal talent. He's big. He's fast. He can score. He'll fight for the ball. That's great. That's kind of that creative player that we need. He used to play with Holland, with Dortmund. That was that
Oh, okay.
link-up combination. And then Declan Rice is just, he's like a number 8. He's a box-to-box. He can shoot. He can carry. He can defend. That's the bare minimum. The bare minimum it's going to take for us to be able to fight at the top of the Premier League again.
I see.
We've got enough forwards. I don't want to see us buy another forward, striker, forward, whatever you want to call them. We got Nunez, Firmino, Gakpo, Jota, Diaz, and Salah. On paper, our 6 forwards are better than any team in Europe at the moment. You take those 6 players, and if they're playing at their finest, and those are who you're swapping in and out, I'm not worried about it. But our midfield is horrendous. They don't have the legs anymore. The way
It's
Klopp
the same
plays.
with us. We need it. We need a change. We got Rabiot. After the World Cup, he just went down. Locatelli, he's doing good. He
Yeah,
always gets unlucky to score. Fagioli's doing good. So we'll see.
yeah. It's going to be interesting, man. I wish Juventus the best. I really do.
Yeah,
I hope they turn it around. I hope they turn it around. I hope something lights a fire. Whatever that is.
yeah. Well, we went to Serie B 2006. Then we dominate the Serie A since we got back. So I wouldn't be too worried.
Yeah.
I hope they do the right decision, bringing the young people. We got Di Maria. He's a monster, but he's at that age too, right? So
Yeah,
maybe for one more year we can keep him. Hopefully.
it's one of those ones where, there's so much loyalty to players.
Yeah.
There's so much loyalty to players. Their name carries so much weight. I think this was part of the Ronaldo problem.
Yeah.
The name carries so much weight that you just hang on. And recently, I think we're starting to see that teams are going to have to be a little bit more ruthless.
Yeah. And the teams with the money wise, they have to do like a salary cap because it's too much.
Yeah. I it's tough when you start throwing around the terms of salary cap, because then if you look at it this way, who are we putting a salary cap on? Are we putting a salary cap on all teams in all leagues?
Yeah, all leagues.
So then what you're
Well, even for
basically
mostly you guys, because you guys spend so much money,
Yep.
like you just
Yeah.
said with Man City. So, like,
Well, yeah, and
and Chelsea.
that's true, but you look at those, then you look at Real Madrid, you look at
Yeah, yeah.
Barcelona, you look at PSG. You can't put a salary cap on the Premier League and then
No,
have
in
PSG and Real
general.
Madrid step in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But once you start talking salary cap, and the reason I like the way that financial fair play is designed is because these teams that have established themselves and have done really well and been really successful and marketed themselves well, they get a little bit more money to spend than other teams. So if you start putting a salary cap in, then all of a sudden a team like RB Leipzig or RB Salzburg is
Yeah,
able to go out and spend the exact same amount of money as a Juventus.
I agree.
Right? So it's a really, really
Sketchy
tough.
situation.
It's a really tough situation.
Yeah.
I think you're on the right track with the idea of a salary cap, but I think what that needs to be is I think that these governing bodies, whether it be UEFA or the FA
Yeah,
or the
it's too
Serie
much.
A or Liga or whatever it is that, the governing bodies, they need to be more involved and they need to do a better job of controlling the amount of money that teams are spending that isn't coming into the club. I think that's how you solve that problem. Because
I
there's
see.
no way Man City has brought in the money they've spent. No way.
Yeah.
I've watched them play for 4 seasons, and a majority of their games, because of how tight the battle's been with Liverpool, watched their entire game. Their stadiums sometimes are half full, and
Yeah.
they're claiming a sellout crowd. You know what I mean? You, you're not paying the same amount of money to put your name on the front of a Manchester City jersey, whether it's Etihad or whatever, as you are to put your name on the front of a Liverpool or a Juventus or a
Yeah,
Man
the ones that have
United,
story,
right?
history.
It's the you're not clubs are their sponsors aren't paying that kind of money for that. And this is the problem with these state-owned clubs. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think that's going to be the start of the new precedent. And I think if the FA does that and they crack down on this with Manchester City, and
Yeah.
then most likely Chelsea to follow,
Sorry.
bless you.
Thank you.
And most likely Chelsea to follow after 300 million winter, I think that'll set a new precedent, and I think that'll finally light a fire under UEFA. So UEFA starts, because they UEFA charged Manchester City. And Manchester
Yeah.
City just tied them up in litigation, and UEFA couldn't go anywhere with it, and eventually just had to go, okay, pay us this and no ban.
Well, let's hope, because they say they're going to look in 4 months, 6 months. Let's hope they do something in the summer.
It's going to be longer than that.
And that's not fair, because with us, right away. And like I said, the reason why, because we had the people from the court that were going against us, which they are under, because you cannot say in public that how you're anti-Juventino, you hate Juventus. You know what I mean? And they got
Fair
that
enough. But didn't they have the phone calls? Wasn't there like a recorded phone call? So didn't they have Juventus dead to rights with that?
Yeah, yes, with Juventus. But the guy from the Santorelli, the guy from the court, he said, the guy from the Justice, he said that he's a Napoli fan and how he hates Juventus, and he's anti-Juventino. You cannot say that in public. And
No, for sure. But at the end of the day, if they've got the phone calls, they
yeah,
could
the
be
video,
anti.
there's actual video of him talking about that, and they're
Yeah,
investigating. So that's one of the reasons we might be lucky they get back to 15 points. We'll see.
maybe that if you get that back, that'd be great. I just think it's one of these things that whether they don't like you or they do,
Yeah,
at
because they
some
did
point
that
in you,
just because even Napoli had the same problem with Osimhen, and now that we got to wait for 6 months. I know
yeah,
us because it's a trades marketing team, right?
yeah,
So that's where they were. And plus, with all this hate around with the ex-president Agnelli that he put on everybody, so that's
yeah,
why. But they can do nothing bad because over 500, 600,000, even more people cut off the Zone and Sky in Italy. And, eh,
yeah.
it's affecting the FGG. So we'll see
Yeah,
what
it's
happens.
well, that's the way you affect these people is affect the money that's going into their
Because if
pockets.
they
So
want to put us in Serie B in relegation, they know without us, it's done. It's bad for Serie A. You know what I mean? Because we put in a lot of money in Serie A, and we made
yeah,
the league big. Either people will like to hear me say this or not, but it's true.
yeah. The
So,
truth hurts. The truth hurts sometimes.
uh, you're a Liverpool fan. I'm pretty sure you hear the same thing. So, what
We
do you
we get
think
we get
about?
everything, man. I still can't I still can't watch a game or especially against a rival or something like that where
You can't.
fans where people don't chant murders or something. You know what I mean? And it is, what it is. At this point in time, when you're successful, they hate you. When you're failing, they hate you more. You know what I mean? There's no
Yeah,
winning,
haters are
so
gonna hate. The more you
tough,
succeed,
tough.
the more haters you're gonna have.
Yeah, and then when you're failing, then they want to kick you when you're down. So
It's the same thing with my fellow Inter friends. They always go against us now with this thing going on. But I said, you guys are just jealous, and you guys can take the fact. Keep on hoping that we go to Serbia. It's going to be game
yeah.
over for you because they have problems with their president, and they have a lot of debt too, so they can be in big trouble too.
Oh yeah.
So,
Everybody can, and it's just one of those situations. But no, I think yeah, I think Champions League coming up, it's going to be a really interesting. I think it's just going to be an interesting year this year.
yeah. Well, I'll have you back next week if you want, because it's going to be Real Madrid and Liverpool.
Yeah, they play. So Real Madrid and Liverpool play Tuesday.
Yeah.
Napoli and Frankfurt are Tuesday. And then it's Inter and Porto Wednesday and Leipzig and Man City on
Wow.
Wednesday.
It's going to be a good one.
That could be, you know what? That's actually be a really good one to do. Again, maybe
Yeah.
I'll try
Well,
to
now
actually
I,
watch.
I used my phone this time. I got to
Yeah,
fix my computer.
but maybe it'd be a good one to do and do a comparison. I'll try to watch at least one of.
Yeah, I
I'll
mean, I'll
try to
try to
watch.
watch all of them. I'm kind of curious to see, well, what Napoli's doing too, right? And
Yeah,
of course, Inter. So if they lose, I can bug them
yeah. I think
in
I
a
think
good
that'd
way.
be a
In a
lot of
good way.
yeah. No, that's just like me watching for any time Manchester United lose.
Oh, you
Anytime
don't like
Manchester
Manchester
United.
United.
Nope.
What about Arsenal? You think they're going to win the Premier or it's going to be Man City
Nope.
again?
It'll be Man City.
Yeah, because I watched a few games with Arsenal. They kind of just drop. I hope they catch up. They're a good team, but
I think Man City just passed them into first, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Man City's in first. They've got a game in hand, tied on
yeah,
points, game in hand. Um, but Man City is a machine.
I know. Even
They are
yesterday's
they
game
are a
with Arsenal,
machine.
what a game.
Yeah, they're a machine, and they just and with Erling Haaland, they're going to score. You know what I mean? They're going to score. They're going to score lots of goals. So I think Arsenal can keep. I think they can. Arsenal fans can hold their head up high. They can be really proud of their team. They can be very proud of Arteta and what he's done. Arsenal's a very young team. Their average
Yeah, but
age,
you
I
never
think,
know. They,
is.
they might win. They might get close, and Man City might screw it up, like what happened to Inter Milan last year. Inter screwed up with Bologna, then Milan wins. So it might be the same situation with Arsenal. You never know.
I think the only way Arsenal win this title is if it's catastrophic and Man City lose Holland, De Bruyne, and
Yeah, maybe.
and
Yeah,
I don't even know. Like it's got to be. But even with that, then they've got Julian Alvarez, and you've got Riyad Mahrez, and that team just has quality for 22 players. There's 22 players. You could take Manchester City's bench, and they'd probably finish in a European place in the Premier League.
wow.
Except for maybe their backup goal, their backup keeper. But if they had a better backup keeper, you take their bench and that their next best 11, that team finishes in the European, at least in the UEFA Conference League.
I see.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. The Premier League it's tight though. It's
Hmm.
tight. There's only 10 points from 4th to 10th. 10
Wow.
point difference from 4th to 10th.
Wow.
And it's 15 points from 3rd to 10th.
Michiga.
That's
Wow.
that's a lot. There's a lot that can change there. So yeah, I think that's going to be interesting. I think the Serie A is a little bit more yeah.
Yeah. Uh, we'll see what happens.
Do you think You think Milan's going to finish top four? AC?
I don't know. We'll see. Milan, they're close to points. Anything can happen. Maybe. I don't know because, like I said, I'm not really happy with Milan at the Campionato.
Yeah.
Yes, they beat Tottenham, which was good, but we gotta see. Now we'll see this weekend. I don't remember who they're playing with this weekend, but yeah,
This
we'll see.
weekend they're playing
Oh, you have the
Monza.
computer.
Monza.
Yeah, they should. But even Monza, like these small teams, you gotta be careful because they cause problems to big teams.
Yeah.
So like Empoli, Monza, they beat us twice. Uh, Verona, these small teams, so you gotta be careful.
Yeah, it's Napoli versus, and I do not know how to say this name, so please do not make fun of me for it. My
No, no,
Italian is
Sassuolo.
horrible. Sassuolo, yeah.
Sassuolo's a
Uh,
tough team too. They beat Milan 5-2.
yeah, and then it's
Yeah.
Inter and Udinese.
Udinese, yeah.
Udinese
Udinese
and
can be dangerous too.
yeah, and Atalanta and Lecce. Lecce.
Lecce, yes.
Lecce. Hey, I got it. I was good. I'll
Yeah, you
take a
good.
win.
You did good.
Yeah, and Roma's got Verona. So
Verona, yeah. I like Atalanta, but we'll see if they maintain the top four because they did good with the Champions League too. They didn't win further, but they still
yep.
show good soccer.
Well, it's Atalanta, Roma, and Milan are all sitting on 41 points for third.
Yes, if we were there, we were second place, putting those 15 points.
Yeah,
So we'll see. I hope they resolve this problem.
yeah. And Napoli is running away with it.
No, Napoli this year. Like I said, there is rivalry. There's hate between us, but sportivamente parlando, can't say nothing to them. I
You
know a
think
lot
it?
of fans are saying they haven't been winning for 30 years. I said, yeah, but you can't always win all the time. Napoli is showing right at this moment good soccer. Like they can compete in
Yeah,
Europe. But the other teams is still this old school Italian mentality. Inter, it's a 50-50. Juventus depends. Now we got back the Tridenti, Vlahovic, Chiesa, Di Maria together, but still we need to see more than that in more action.
yeah,
So time will tell.
yeah. All right, man. Well,
Okay,
I
Andrew, thank you so
appreciate.
much. If you want next week, if I'm not busy, we'll do at 7:30. I'll put at
Yeah,
7:30, then we can do this again. I'll see if somebody else wants to come. If not, me and you. And
yeah. I
thanks for
like it, man.
coming.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, and hopefully we can get one over on Real Madrid. That'd be nice for me.
Yeah, we'll see what
If I
happens, right?
if I come on smiling, you know it's a good thing.
Okay, so maybe it might be good for you next week.
All right, man. Well, thanks a lot, eh?
Yeah, we'll see you next week, okay?
All right,
And we'll
buddy.
keep in
Talk to you
touch.
soon.
Okay,
Bye.
thank you. Ciao, ciao. There you have it, guys, with a nice guest. Sorry about the internet connection with this thing. I'm gonna smash it like straight up. So we'll have him back next week. We'll talk about it. I think it was good content, so everybody can listen and have ideas what's going on in the other league, which is Premier League. And yeah, thank you all. Sorry for the late. Maybe that's why a lot of people didn't show up tonight. And we will see you soon. But tomorrow morning con un buongiorno da Vancouver in Italian. Then tomorrow afternoon I'll do more videos, and next week with the live. Then maybe on the weekend I'll do it in Italian. So please put a like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you lovebirds soon. Ciao ciao.